Welcome to Bayou Time. I'm Jacob DeGate, and tonight we're going to talk a little bit about what's known as redistricting, which is sometimes you hear it on the federal level, your congressional districts, but this episode we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening local. And now I'm joined by Parish Councilman John Amedee and Josh Manning, who's with South Central Planning. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
All right, Josh, first I'll just start off with you, and I know we've talked a little bit before during the break about you work for South Central Planning. Can you tell me what your role is?
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're basically the parish's demographer for the redistricting process, and we're working with both the parish council and the school board, and we're kind of guiding them through the process, doing our best to make sure that they're following all state and federal law, making sure that we're looking at the population, and doing our best to balance those districts.
Okay, and so I guess the district lines that you're trying to redraw or comply with law, which ones are they? It's council members and school board? Yes,
and we do have a slide that can show this.
Okay. Let's see, that is the...
It's the 2020 Census Data Baseline Plan. And we're looking at what we really need to do, and if you look at this slide, where that fourth column is, it says percent deviation. We're looking at the populations of every district, every school board district and every council district, and we're trying to get to what's called the ideal population. So we take the total population of the parish, which for 2020 is 109,580. We're dividing that by 9, which is 9 council seats, and we come up with the ideal district. So the ideal population of each district would be roughly 12,000 individuals. And so we're examining the populations of each district, and we're trying to get them as close to that as possible. So on this table, the fourth column that says percent deviation, we're looking at mainly districts 1, 2, and 9 need to gain a little population, and district 4 and 6, they need to lose a little bit of population. We want that percent deviation to be plus or minus 5% in every district. Now, just because the other districts are okay, doesn't mean that there won't be changes to those districts. There's going to be some shifting as we shift population from one district to another. All the different boundaries are going to be affected in some way.
Okay, and let me ask you, council member, if you could tell me, if you know off the top of your head, they have 9 districts, I guess just looking at it on paper, you just see a number, but do you know, can you go through and show where each district is currently?
As far as with the numbers?
Yes, currently.
Yeah, we're all about in the 12,000, 11,000 range. I think, and Josh might be able to help me, in districts 1 and 2, they might be a little bit below 11,000.
But which area of the parishes are those?
Yeah, we do have a map.
Okay.
Of.
Let's see if we can pull that one up. That one, the population change.
Population change by precinct. Yep.
If you could pull up the population change, and that way we can kind of go through it. That way the viewers out there can see exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about those numbers. And again, the biggest population changes you saw were in District 1.
Correct. District 1 is the one that needs to gain the most population, and that's the district. It's kind of in downtown Houma area, and it reaches onto the east side of Houma, and it actually goes down a little bit down Grand Caillou and down Dularge a little bit, that upper part of both of those bayous. That's John Navy's district. And so on this map, what we're looking at is the areas in blue are those precincts. These are voting precincts where people go vote by geography. These are the precincts that gained population in the last 10 years, from 2020 or from 2010 to 2020. Those areas in yellow and brown are the areas that have lost population, and the darker the blue means the more population that's been gained, and the darker the brown means the more population that's been lost. So what we really see a trend, and I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that lives here, is we're seeing a trend of people moving from the southern parts of the parish to the northern part of the parish, particularly along the Bayou Blue corridor, the Highway 311 corridors, where most of the growth has taken place. There's a few other pockets of area where we've had some growth, but that's those primary areas.
Of course, this was on 2020 census data,
Yes.
so it has nothing to do with the hurricane yet.
That's correct.
Whenever we get around to the next census, you may be able to see,
Yeah,
even
it'll probably even be more
further
drastic.
exodus
Right.
from that. Okay. Let's see. So as far as coming up with proposals, were there proposals that were presented to the council?
Yes, we had originally 3 alignments. We call them 3 alternatives, alternative 1, alternative 2, and alternative 3. Those alignments were given to the council members. We drew them. Every alignment basically achieved a few things. First of all, we wanted to comply with all state and federal law, primarily the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which ensures that governments do not develop plans that are discriminatory in any way, shape, or form. We also want to do our best. And it's easier in some districts than others, I'll grant it that, but do our best to create districts that are compact as possible, with still, doing the other things that we want them to do. All districts have to be contiguous. And then we do our best to make sure, we don't want to blow these districts up and start from scratch, so we're trying to make small incremental changes, the minimal change that we can, but still meeting all of our goals. And so we developed these 3 alternatives. We gave them to our council members. We gave them to our school board members. I'm going to be presenting alternative 1A. That's the plan that between the school board and the council we've kind of centered on of the different alignments that we've presented. That is actually going to go before the school board this upcoming, at their next meeting on Tuesday, the 15th. And then once the school board actually votes on that plan, supposing that they vote to approve it, we'll be presenting that plan to the parish council.
Okay, in 1A, let's see, I think we have a map we can pull up of it, if you could explain exactly what it's showing.
Sure. So each of the different colored areas on this map are one of the different districts. And starting at the northern part of the parish, that area in red is District 4, and that's going to encompass really the Schriever area, parts of Bayou Blue, and it's actually going to be moving a little bit west into parts of Gibson. That's new to this plan. The yellow area is District 2. The green area is District 7. The orange area is District 6, and that's the area really along the Summerfield area and along the 311 corridor. The blue area is District 5, and that covers a lot of downtown Houma and the Coteau Road area. District 9 goes on the east side of Houma, all the way down through Montague. And then District 8 covers that Berg, Cocodrie area, down to Cocodrie, Chauvin.
Now, let me turn it over to Councilmember Amedee. If talk a little bit, about what you think is important for this process to take place when I know the council's going to have to vote on it.
Right. Well, Jacob, there were a couple of things that between us and the school board we wanted to do. As the districts are currently, there are situations where you can be in Council District 3, yet be in School District 4. So we wanted to get the lines to where the districts were the same. So with this alternative that we're presenting, we've accomplished that, or I should say Josh and I have accomplished that in presenting it to us. So now, if you live in District 4, you're going to be in the Council District 4, and you're going to also be in the School District 4. We also wanted to make sure that it doesn't get kicked back from the federal government, that it meets all the requirements, and we don't have to go through this again. And that's why, as a council and as a school district, we hired South Central Planning, because they have all the tools and knowledge in order to accomplish that, as they've done this for us in the past. And we were looking toward that experience in order to accomplish that goal. And I think those were two of the biggest things. Of course, you have minority districts, and you have to make sure, and you have to be sensitive to those things, because we're required to have 2 minority districts. And as the population shifts, what we're really seeing is that our subdivisions and our areas are getting more mixed communities. So it gets a little bit more difficult each time. And with the tools that they have and the knowledge that they have, it's really neat, because we can go in and they're looking at precincts. So if you want to shuffle a few things around, then they can show you in lifetime exactly how that affects the other districts. So maybe I wanted a certain area and I'm asking, but by doing that, then I'm affecting another council member's district in a negative way that it's going to throw things out of balance. So it was a really delicate process, and we really thank South Central Planning for working with us and meeting, with us, not having all the knowledge. We're going to ask for some silly things, and they were able to accommodate us as much as they could and keep us within safe lines.
And how long has this process, when did it start out?
We started out just before the end of the year. I think it was September.
Yeah, the conversation started even before the census came out. We started this process. Normally the census will come out April 1st of 2021, but due to COVID delaying everything, the census didn't come out until August. So we started drawing the plans at that point, but we were meeting with the councilmen, meeting with the school board members, probably as far back as maybe even January, February.
Okay, and again, this comes out every 10 years, just like the census. You
Yes.
use the data and
Yes.
update. So like we mentioned earlier, I guess in 10 years we'll have to see what kind of changes we have from that little Hurricane Ida.
And Jacob, that was one of the questions that was asked in the committee, because we had a joint committee of the school board members and the council members. And with the population shift caused by Hurricane Ida, there was some concern because there's a lot of people that were living in the high rise in Senator Circle that are now dispersed. And we know that some of them are going to come back, but it really changes the makeup of those two minority districts.
Sure.
Unfortunately, the laws say that we have to follow the 2020 census. There is an avenue, but it's a very difficult thing to prove, to make any adjustments. But we know that even once we draw these lines and we get resettlement back into the parish from Hurricane Ida, it's going to look a little bit different.
Okay. And in the process, how much was the public involved? Did you have public hearings before?
Well, the council hasn't had their public hearing yet. The school board has had their public hearing. Josh was present for that. He might be able to give some examples of how that went.
Yeah, the school board did have a public hearing 2 weeks ago, I believe. When this goes before the council, there will be another public hearing at that time. And there were some comments that were made at that public hearing. There were, there's always concerns, but we're working through them as best as we can, and we believe that this plan will meet all of the requirements that we have to meet.
Well, thank y'all for coming on. I think we had a little civics lesson for everybody out there, but went well. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, stay tuned for more right here on HTV.